spent 5 years in solitary. I spent 2.5 years for refusing to shave this beard on religious grounds and won my release. I've seen it from the inside. I know what they do to our rights. They will violate them, and then they will get off with qualified immunity because they didn't knowingly violate your rights. The only solution to this is a nonviolent solution. That solution is people willing to go to a FEMA camp if this bill gets passed or this money is accepted, whatever it is. That is why it is so imperative that we contact the executive council and tell them they must refuse to even consider this. They will not vote on it. We will not allow them to vote on it, because allowing the possibility of a yes vote is a death vote. Okay? Think about that. And if this does get passed, if the politicos like Reopen and all these people get their way, let the vote happen. Just let it happen. Let's say we do that and it doesn't go our way and they vote yes. Concentration camps will happen. And I'm not asking for violence. I'm asking for people to do mass non-compliance. You go to your FEMA camp. You stay there. You refuse to get the jab. If they start force jabbing people, we will deal with that from the inside. But if you're not willing to disobey and go to the camp and allow others to do what they need to do from the outside, you're going to comply. So they only have so many jail cells or prison cells or COVID camp cells, whatever they want to call them, isolation chambers, safety bubbles, whatever it is. It's the same thing. It's isolation. They only have X amount of these isolation chambers. So if enough of us say, sure, whatever, put me in the isolation chamber, I will be the first one in there. Believe that. And then other people will come in. Sure, put me in the isolation chamber. Put me in the isolation chamber. 3 hots and a cot. I don't have any bills to pay anymore. Let's do this. I'll work out in my cell. I'll enjoy myself. I'll read some books. I'll banter with the other detainees and the guards. I'll talk to them. I'll get the guards on our side like I did in the prison, okay? I have tons of friends in law enforcement. People don't understand. Just because I was in prison doesn't mean I'm not an upstanding citizen. I've rebuilt my life. I'm a small business owner. I volunteer for an international nonprofit. I work for Manchester Mental Health. I worked on the mobile crisis response team, as Terese said. I went on suicidal calls to help Manchester police whenever they were dealing with mentally ill people that they didn't want to arrest. I would go down there and I would talk them off a ledge. And then I opened my own business, okay? So yeah, I can't continue my business. I can't even volunteer and host a meeting at the recovery center without doing contact tracing and wearing a mask, okay? The contact tracing and the digital passports is all part of the control grid in putting us into camps. We cannot comply with this. We can't accept that money. Sununu says, oh, it's unenforceable. So, Sununu, are you telling me that you want to accept federal funding, enter into a legally binding contract with the federal government, and then not comply with that? Is that what you're trying to get me to accept? Because it does not compute. I operate on logic.
Well, you don't need $27 million to do a registry.
They don't even need a registry.
So that $27 million, and we are seeing the job postings where they're trying
internment
to hire
specialists.
Right, and those are the states that have already accepted the grant. So this is all very, very real, you guys. And we're seeing, I guess this started for me because I'm seeing real live nurses who are being terminated after 19 years of their job. Like,
you're dirty.
And people saying that, well, if you're not vaccinated, you shouldn't, when you get sick, don't go to the hospital because it's your fault that you didn't get vaccinated. Okay, so do we tell the person who's eating McDonald's when you have, heart condition because you ate all that cholesterol, we're not going to help you with your heart? Or the smoker who has lung disease, we're not going to help you with your lung cancer? Or, the person who self-medicated with alcohol, sorry, your liver is shot. We're going to just start doing that because that's become now...
It's your fault.
Just to follow. That's a very slippery slope in humanity for us to get there. We do now know that there's evidence that the virus itself was man-made. We do know now for a fact that treatments were withheld that could have saved lives. And now we have an injection that's coming out that has not been tested for more than a year or two. It came to market at warp speed. We don't know how it's going to affect our immune system. I do think this is going to be a very dark winter, health-wise. I think we're going to have a lot of illness, and at the same time...
Well, remember, Biden said dark winter.
Yeah.
We were already in the winter when that was happening, okay? So, he meant this winter coming up right now that we're heading into. Dark winter. This is going to be the dark winter if there is one, okay? Get ready for the grid to shut down, the power to go out, and not to have any communication. I mean, you people don't understand the ramifications of what's happening right now. October 18th, the federal government is going to default on the national debt. I bet you a lot of people have not even heard one peep about that. But I follow financial news because that's where you're going to get the truth. Because these big business people want to know what the hell's going on. And the government is going to default on the national debt on October 18th. That's why they're trying to push this stuff through beforehand, and then they will announce another lockdown, another pandemic, and Sununu will have all his executive powers back with all these little state reps that now have their strings attached, and they got to get permission from me to be able to do the state of emergency. But yeah, Sununu said it, so we should just do it. Let's just do it. Let's just follow the process. Following the process is what got us here. The process stops now. We do not consent. We will not comply.
Yeah, we have gone down a slippery slope, and I'm probably more guilty than anybody. I voted for Sununu. I was asleep at the wheel, and a lot of us identify that right now. And trust me, I never thought I would find myself Wednesday throwing myself in front of a bus for humanity, but that's exactly what I did, and I would do it again, and I think there's probably going to be the opportunity to do it again in the weeks to come. But this is moving very, very fast.
We have a chance to stop this. The only thing that's going to stop it is mass non-compliance. Absolute defiance is the path to freedom. Not my little brand that I created. It's not a brand, it's an idea. It's something that you do. If you're not willing to be absolutely defiant, then you will be absolutely compliant, and you'll get the jab, and you won't say boo.
And if we don't lock arms together and respect that, some of us are going to be fierce, some of us are going to be very timid, and we're going to have this full spectrum of people. But if we don't start locking arms, guys, and marching together, okay, and if you're a state rep and you're working on legislation to try to get ivermectin approved over the counter, we're for you, okay? If you're in this Liberty group, we're for you, okay? If you are,
Health Freedom New Hampshire, we're for you. I was with you today. I backed you guys up. I told that lady who tried to run us over to stop, okay? I was protecting the entire crowd from getting run over by some crazy lady.
I watched him clean up all the signs Wednesday as we were talking to all the troopers. I'm the first to witness that he actually does have a relationship with the state troopers, okay? When we did the honk brigade, the state troopers are giving us thumbs up and high fives, okay? But I'm telling you, Wednesday, there was a bunch of crap left in that room, and they were going to find the Liberty group.
Reopen. Rebuild, whatever they're going to be next.
Because there was a bunch of stuff there. And Frank said, no, I witnessed it. No, I'm going to go through. I'll pick it all up, guys. Don't stress. Don't worry about it. I got it. And the guys were talking to us, right? And there was we were not seen as any sort of a threat to the authorities that were there.
They could have got us. We were the last people to leave the building.
So, anyways, we know what we know, right? We've all seen the evidence. And people have said, well, I've, stocked up on my rice and beans. And I'm like, that's great, but what is that going to do for our children 20 years from now?
What's it going to do when they come and they say, oh, are you vaccinated? No, you're not. Well, come with us. We need to bring you to what are they calling them? There's a
isolation.
There's some name that the CDC's thrown around. A concentration camp. Let's go. We got to bring you to the quarantine chamber, and we'll figure it out after. You're not rice and beans. You're going to be eating bologna sandwiches.
Well, we look at Australia, you guys. We're not conspiracy theorists. Like, this
Right.
is happening all over the world. And so, if you want to get arrested because you snuck out to get Kentucky Fried Chicken, or heaven forbid you went to the beach, that's the reality in Australia. And
6 years in prison for Kentucky Fried Chicken.
He had 4 cases out of 25 million people, and that's how locked down Australia is, okay? And people are like, well, we have our Second Amendment rights. We'll take care of it that way. Okay, no, they could do a restraint order, and Levi's
red flag laws,
but they'll find
martial
a way
law
to just come take away your stuff, and then what do? You have nothing. You're gonna run naked through the woods for the next 60 years, like. It's either now or never, and I don't want that for my boys. I don't want us to be in wartime. I don't want anything else. But our Declaration of Independence states, as soon as the government is not working for us, the people, it is our duty to rise up. I have given Sununu,
and it can be peaceful. This is the thing.
Right. I've given Sununu 10 things that he could do that I compiled with state reps and people who have been in the liberty fight. A whole group of people I had. Give me your insight. If I've got his ear, he's on my Facebook page. I'll tell him what he can do. And I really had hopes that he would be a hero, that he would make.
Sorry.
I know, but that he would make the exemption for healthcare workers a state form like he does for the children for school exemption, so that there's not every facility kind of willy-nilly doing it their own, and bringing the employees into HR and asking 8 crazy questions and intimidating them and making a hostile work environment. We do have labor laws. I can't be sexually harassed. I can't be, discriminated based on my color in the workplace. But he's like, nope, hands off. That's government overreach.
Government can't define how to interpret the Constitution. And what is ADA law? What is RSA 354A16, right to public access?
Right.
Oh, we can't tell businesses how to enforce the Constitution. No, that is the sole job of the government.
There are ADA, disability acts. There's different things that our workplaces have to abide by. Okay, I can't go in and just have my boss beat the crap out of me and the government say, sorry, it's a private business.
Oh, they can smack you on the ass and they can do sexual harassment because the government can't tell them that that's wrong.
So,
according to Sununu.
We can create religious discrimination, hostile work environments. All of this is happening right now, and people are being, you're resigning. No, you're terminating me. I'm making a choice not to put something in my body that I don't feel is safe and appropriate. It's ridiculous. So, but, the other things I told him about, I'm like, why is the National Guard this month being told in training they're going to be discharged if they don't get the injection? And I know the federal law is not until 2022. Oh, they're not being charged. They're not being forced to do that this month. And I sent him the screenshot of the text message of one of the National Guards who happens to jump on. Sununu was back and forth until 2 a.m. on Tuesday. And we gave him tangible things that were within his jurisdiction that he can do to help us here in New Hampshire. And he said, it's complicated. I don't have a magic wand. You don't understand. 40% of our budget is federal money. And yet the next morning he wants to go and accept $27 million with strings attached that are horrible. So guys, we have to be loud. You need to get there on October 13th. You need to unify together. Some of you
shut that thing down. If I'm locked up, okay, if somehow I get locked up for something, or I disappear, or somebody kills me, or assaults me, throws me off a stage, and Terese or whatever, people need to stand up and shut that meeting down. Shut that meeting down. Do not let it happen.
So after Wednesday, some of you saw my Facebook page. I actually, amazing attorney, and then I have a group that wanted me to speak, and I'm like, you probably don't want me on your venue. They're like, have you read our mission statement? We're all about raising money. Christians across the country are raising money for those who are fighting tyranny, and we've raised $900,000. You're exactly who we need to have speak, and we're going to pray over you, and we've got your back. So, God is doing amazing things. He sent 2 women from New Jersey to the state steps to do intercessory prayer over our state capitol, and there was someone they needed to pray for. What happened today on the state capitol? A beautiful turnout of people who are wanting righteousness in our land. They want the right thing to happen. So wherever you are on the spectrum, you are welcome at the table. If you're the little lady that brought the dove flag on Friday night, or if you're the lunatic fanatic Frank, everything in between, we need to lock arms together.
Nonviolent.
And we need to
because I might be crazy, but I'm nonviolent. Okay? If you think I'm crazy, you want to call me crazy and wild and unruly, well, those are the type of people who built this country. The founding fathers were anarchists. The Constitution is an anarchist document. You better believe it.
Right.
Throwing off the crown, everyone is sovereign, the states are sovereign, the people are sovereign.
So people were upset with me a few weeks ago, like, don't honk. I'm not going to tell anyone right now to be silent, okay? The silent majority, the silence is what's gotten us here. So we do
Silence
need to be
is
loud.
complicity.
People don't realize the number one thing that happens when I stand on the corner is people don't realize we even exist, okay? People are like, I didn't realize, based on what they see in the media, that there would be a nurse or a physician or a surgeon or a pharmacist, and I'm like, a pulmonologist, a medical director standing with me on the corner who are not comfortable and have seen the adverse reactions of this injection, and they're just dazed at that. So we have to be loud, we have to talk, we cannot be ashamed. When you go to the soccer game, when you go talk to your neighbor, you need to be able to be bold enough and courageous enough to say, what do you think about what happened last Wednesday, those 2 people who shut down that vote and that money, and the fact that it looks like they want to try and isolate and quarantine people who aren't vaccinated. Does that seem right? You need to start having those discussions, because you'll find out everyone around you is thinking it, and a lot of them are just afraid to say it. But we have to unify. We have to unify, and we have to come together strong. And as far as all the liberty groups go, God bless you all. I'm just trying to get my arms around who all of you are, and I want to be the wind in your sail. So the thing that came to me today is I want us to adopt a motto: I love your fight. Your fight is your fight. Okay? You grew up in no freedom from 13 to 35. I love your fight, Frank. I love your fight. And you can say, what, T? You were only here for a short time. You weren't here for all those years. And you can let go of the fact that I wasn't in the fight sooner. But you can turn around to me and say, T, I love your fight. Okay? Leah Cushman, I love your fight. You know what? Anyone who's in this fight, I love your fight. I want that to start to be our motto. Okay?
Supporting each other. I don't have to agree with everything that any one person says or doesn't say.
Or does.
Do. I'm not going to tell somebody you should say this or you should say that. I'll have a conversation, and if they decide to change their platform or how they, articulate themselves because of that discussion, that's what I do all the time. That's why I talk to so many people. I want to have the best steelman argument that there is.
And there's going to be people